behind the curtain stuff like maintenance, support, program promotion, as I said, and just making sure that the program was successful. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Larissa. Thanks for all of your help. Really appreciate it. Well, I'm Maria Curtis. I'm the faculty advisor for the program. I'm glad to have you all with us. I was looking at all the numbers this week, and we have about 15 people fairly committed to going on the trip at this point, along with four faculty members, maybe 5 faculty members. So we're very excited about that. I'm really so grateful to have Badar Al Yazeedi here with us today. It's 9 hours ahead, so it's late in Muscat, not in Muscat, in Oman. So thank you for being here with us, and we can't wait to hear more about the program from your side and get your thoughts. Also want to, sorry, go ahead, Badar.
Well, I was just going to thank everyone for joining us today. I think most of them, they haven't joined us in the past or the previous sessions that we did. But you are sharing them, those links, right?
Yeah, we have a couple. Well, Nick has been here, and my colleague, Dr. Marina, has been, she was here for the last one, but we recorded sessions and I have been sharing them with other students. So they may have watched our virtual tour and other things before. We're just kind of touching base about the program and wanting to know how students are doing and what questions people have at this point. So we can always show more of the photos of beautiful Oman and talk about the trip some more as well. Dr. Marino, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Georgina Moreno. I'm a faculty member here in the psychology department at UHCL, and I'm going to be working with Dr. Curtis to do some research on studying abroad, perceptions and motivation to study abroad among students at UHCL, especially among our Latinx population. So I'm really excited to be joining you all on this trip.
We're excited that you're joining us. And our third UHCL faculty member, Dr. Garland, sends her greetings. She wasn't able to make it today. She's traveling. Some of you might know her. She's from the College of Business, and she her area of interest is environmental and sustainability kind of studies. So this class is course listed. I think it might be the first time we have a study abroad program that's course listed between 2 colleges. So College of Human Sciences and Humanities and the College of Business. So we're very excited about that. We're really looking forward to it. Who else would like to go? Who else would like to introduce themselves? How about Nick? Nick, you're like the first person to apply to the program. So it feels like, you know, you're a veteran of the program already. You were the first person to sign up and first person to email me and all of that. And the first person to sign up for the class. So let's hear from you.
What do you want me to say? Like just like my major and stuff? Or?
Just your major.
Biology.
Okay. So what interests you about this program?
Mostly just that it goes to Oman.
Okay.
And obviously the environmental sustainability stuff sounds really cool too.
Okay. All right.
Because I'm taking Arabic lessons, so
it'd
be cool to actually like try to actually like, I guess, go to the country and see how it goes.
Nice. So you're already taking Arabic lessons on your own?
Yeah, I've been taking Arabic lessons for like almost a year.
Oh, wow. Good for you. That's great. That's great. Geraldo, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, my name is Geraldo Hernandez. I already graduated with my anthropology degree last semester, and I'm currently in the cross-cultural program. And yeah, I've been kind of wanting to go to Oman.
I think you muted yourself. There you go.
Sorry about that. But yeah, I was kind of putting it off a little bit, and then I wasn't sure. And then I talked to Dr. Curtis, and I was like, no, you know what? I need to just say yes. And if I don't sign up for it, I won't end up doing it. So
Well, it's going to be great to have you with us. So Emily, do you want to introduce yourself?
Okay, well, I'm Emily. I am transferring from HEC to UHCL, and I hope to get my BFA in graphic design, and I hope to minor in anthropology. So that's why I'm doing this whole thing.
Great. Well, your mom has been following this trip and writing about it for us. She's the person who writes all the press releases. So she's an expert. You're living with an expert. So she will be a great resource for you.
She is.
Yeah.
We are very lucky to have expert daughter in our team.
A brand new UHCL student. So welcome to UHCL and welcome to this class and the study abroad program.
Thank you.
Let's see, Bayan, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sorry, I can't have my camera on, but I'll introduce myself. My name is Bayan Al Musa. I'm a junior at UHCL and my major is biology. I heard about the program through Nick. So I'm very interested because I'm also from the Middle East. I'm from Syria and I speak fluent Arabic. So I'm really excited for this trip.
Great to have you with us. And thanks for helping with recruiting, Nick. We appreciate it. So Maria Luisa, do you want to introduce yourself? She might be driving still. So Montserrat, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes. My name is Montserrat. I'm a senior. I'm hoping to get my bachelor's in environmental management. And I had heard about the program, but I finally got to have a in-person class with Dr. Garland, and she just hyped our entire class about it. So hopefully we'll be there.
Great, great. All right. Maria Luisa, I see that you unmuted yourself.
I did. Hello, everyone.
Hello, how are you?
Hi. Well, I'm an anthropology major, and I'm looking forward to going to Oman. I'm a full-time student. I work full-time. It's been a pleasure so far taking all these classes. So it would be, I'm really excited about putting a visual to everything that has so far I've learned. But yeah, I'm just really excited about the trip.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. Well, I see Ashlyn Colson is joining, or trying to join. But why don't we go ahead and get started with our presentation. And at any time, if you have questions, you can post them in the chat and we'll try to get to them. Okay. So I know that some or most of you might have already seen our presentation, so I don't want to be too repetitive. But so of course, the theme for this year's program to Oman is food security and environmental sustainability. So we will be visiting a variety of different markets, trying to visit different farms, visiting with people in academic settings and research settings, and really trying to understand, you know, how is it that a country that is one of the warmest or hottest places in the world, how is it that they manage food sustainability? And we'll be exploring this also in the course that I'm teaching in the fall. So we want to extend a warm welcome to Badar Al Yazeedi. He's been working with the program and with us since 2016. So this will be actually our 4th trip to Oman. It's our first time, you know, formally working with this theme, although I have to say every time we've been, we've touched on these themes in one way or another in some of the site visits that we've done. So it's not brand new, but it's definitely more focused in this one particular area than it has been in previous years. So Badar is a world traveler. He's been running his own tourism business for about 20 years or so. He's extremely knowledgeable. He's kind of a human encyclopedia everywhere we go, and anything that you can point out to him in Oman, he can essentially explain to you and tell you about pretty quickly over several centuries of history. So he's an amazing person to work with, and very knowledgeable and very fun and dependable. So we're really looking forward to seeing you again, Badar, after this long COVID hiatus. Hopefully, fingers crossed. So another thing that makes this particular trip to Oman different is the fact that this year we applied for a grant from the State Department. It's an IDEAS grant, which stands for the Increase and Diversify Education Abroad for US Students. So despite the fact that US foreign policy is so focused on the Middle East, it still remains a place where not a whole lot of American students go to do study abroad. So one way that we're diversifying our offerings is to take students to a part of the world, which is really, it remains kind of understudied. Another portion of the grant goes to funding Arabic language courses for students. So I think that you might have seen in some of the emails and communications from us that we will be offering some basic kind of introductory Arabic classes beginning probably in early October to get us ready for the trip. And so that's another thing that we're very excited about that we've not done in previous years. Let's see, what else? I think that I've sent all of you emails at one point or another with some of the press releases about previous trips. We have a Facebook page, which has not been, I've been putting stuff there little by little. It's felt a little odd to post photos of travels, knowing that people in many parts of the world are still kind of stuck at home and not able to travel, but I intend to start putting more things there, so you can check that out. Yeah, any questions from anyone so far?
I would say, Maria, not just check that information, guys, but maybe offer some help with the program information. Maybe if you have some cross-references and interesting subjects related to the food security and sustainability, you can post the information on the Facebook page to make it just popular, not just about the program, but in general, increase awareness about these subjects and attracting attention to these subjects and making sure that you are actively involved in this program, okay? Thank you.
Thanks, Larissa. So for those of you who have been following the trip for a while, you've known that we have postponed it several times. So right now it's set for January 2 through the 15th, 2022. We are going to have the fall class beginning, in August when the semester begins. And all of the readings will really be geared to better understanding food security in Oman and the Gulf kind of in general. So I think that some people have signed up for the class. Some people have gone ahead and filled out all of the paperwork online with Larissa's office. Some people have kind of done a little bit of both. So you do want to make sure to go ahead and take care of all of that to make sure that you're fully signed up so that you don't miss any communications from us about the trip as we're moving forward. I had a meeting with the State Department representatives who service this grant a couple weeks ago, and they really wanted to stress that if you don't have a passport, or if you have one that is close to expiring, you really want to get that taken care of immediately, because there is quite a backlog. It's going to take longer to get a passport now than it has in the past. So hopefully everyone has one. If you don't have one, or if you have one that is going to expire relatively soon, then you definitely want to take care of that. So when we say expire soon, in order to get into Oman with a passport, you have to have at least 6 months open time before it expires, you know, at the time of departure. So if yours is less than that, then you want to make sure to go ahead and renew your passport.
I really
Dr. Curtis,
recommend.
so May would not be, you would suggest May? Mine expires in May 2022, so,
Yeah, you'd want to get it renewed for sure.
okay, all right.
Yeah, so we're leaving in January, so
Yeah, it
wanna
should be renewed.
yeah, you would
Okay,
have a passport that wouldn't expire at least until July 2020
okay.
at the earliest, but you know, even that's maybe cutting it a little bit close. But thanks for asking. That's a good question. So the course, I'm teaching one course, but it's cross-listed a number of different ways. And we did that to try to make it fit into different people's, you know, candidate plan of study. So there, it's going to be undergraduate and graduate combined, anthropology, cross-cultural studies, and environmental studies. Anybody have any questions about the class?
I know that one of our applicants had a question because she is an online student and she wanted to take a class, but she was hesitant if the classes are also equally offered to both offline students and online students. So can you just speak a little bit about this, Maria?
Well,
I know you and we discussed this, but I just want to repeat this again.
yeah, my preference would be for everyone to be in the classroom, only because it makes it easier for me to know that you know, whatever message I give to the class, everybody's getting the same message. Sometimes I can make notes and want to hope to go back and inform people who are absent or who weren't there. I can do that, but it would be easier for me if people were in the class. If somebody is a distance learner and they're not actually in Houston, then of course that wouldn't work. What I will probably do is do a voice recording of the class and then upload the audio file. I didn't ever do any of the bimodal teaching during the pandemic where, you know, like you were in the classroom with some students and also doing Zoom with students who aren't there. That's something I can also explore, but you know, definitely register for the class because we're going to be doing readings each week. Whether you're in the class or not, you can still do the readings. I'm going to be uploading all of the materials in Blackboard so you can download the articles and everything to read, or in the book chapters and PDFs and everything. So that material will help you kind of get more out of the trip once we're there. If you're, I mean, we have a fully online anthropology program and some of our students don't live in Houston. So if that's you, you can still register for the class and complete the assignments and submit them online. And I'll do my best to try to use Zoom in the classroom, or at the very least do a voice recording and then upload the audio file after class. Is that a good, does that answer your question? Does anybody else have any questions about that?
Can we have some reactions, at least like a thumbs up or like questions, so we know that we are on the right track?
Thank you, Emily, for that very encouraging thumbs up. I do appreciate it.
I would like to ask one thing. What
Okay.
about, because you said about the class, what about the Arabic class? What about the people that can't make it for that, or like the distance learners?
Okay, so for the Arabic class, that is going to be delivered online. And so I'm working with Christine Paul and our, she's the person on campus who's been doing the language study all these years. She and the instructor are suggesting that we have it Friday evenings at 7 o'clock and that we use Zoom. And so I'll be recording the sessions and sharing them with people. Again, the language part of it is not required and you're not going to necessarily be graded for it, but it is an extra component of this grant to introduce students to Arabic. I mean, sometimes because the script is different, the alphabet is different, students think, oh, this is too hard, I can't learn it. So this is really supposed to be an introduction to Arabic and to maybe inspire students to want to learn more Arabic in the future. So in this 9 or 10 weeks that we're learning, we're not obviously going to become fluent by any stretch of the imagination, but you know, the intent is just to kind of break through some of the maybe some of the unknown and to at least introduce a little bit of the language and the alphabet to students so that when they're there, they're able to maybe interact a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just wanted to say Badar probably can add and confirm how important it is for foreigners to at least be able to say a couple of words in Arabic when I'm sure it's a huge icebreaker. And even if it's some basics, don't expect to be fluent in Arabic, but if you are able to just introduce yourself, say hello, thank you, how are you, that would be just amazing. Is that true, Badar?
Larissa, I'm working in an online page, which is won't be public. I already sent it by WhatsApp to Dr. Cortez, and it would contain a link to the pre-departure materials. And the pre-departure materials, it would have a section for useful Arabic. What you could say for someone like good morning or good evening, or if I didn't understand what he's saying, all of these useful daily routine sentences, it will be in there. Around like 30 sentences, I think.
But again, just to talk about language, almost everyone in Oman seems to speak English, not just a little bit, but very, very well. So we will get by just fine, even if you don't attend the Arabic sessions. But you know, it would be nice for you to get some introduction to the language, and then if you complete the sessions, then you'll have a kind of a certificate of completion with, you know, with the State Department seal and everything on it. So that should be some motivation, and that would be something that everybody could put on their resumes as some professional experience.
Absolutely. I was just about to say how it can boost your resume. Languages like Arabic, Chinese, Swahili are very valuable assets to your resume. Remember about that. And after graduating from this Arabic language course, you definitely can indicate this in your resume, especially just Maria mentioned having a certificate. It's just wonderful. And it's already included in the price of the program. You don't have to pay extra for this.
That's right. Well, that's the slide that I meant to be on the whole time that we were talking about the Arabic. So I guess we covered that. I guess I can. So we
have a question here in the chat. Do you want to address this question after the presentation or right now?
I'm in presentation mode in PowerPoint, so I'm not able to see the chat box.
I can help you with that.
What's the question?
Okay, this is Bayan asking if we are not able to take the class this fall, are we still able to go on the trip to Oman?
You can. It is really our preference that you take the class because it's not a class where we kind of just go and see some of the nicer cultural sites and so forth. I mean, the entire trip is really focused on food security and sustainability. So having read the course materials in advance will really kind of help you understand and get more out of the trip. So that really is our preference.
Okay, Bayan, let us know if this answer your question. Thank you.
Okay, so just to talk about the program costs, we're going to be developing a payment schedule fairly soon, and I'll let you know all about that. So in past years, it's worked best when students pay in installments. There have been, you know, the rare students who just say, no, I want to pay now and just get it over with so I can make sure that I don't spend money elsewhere. So you will be paying for the cost of the trip up front. Everyone will be able to apply for the International Education Fee Award Scholarship. All of you so far who are UHCL students, you've been contributing to this with a $4 fee each semester. So that $4 fee is paid by each student. It goes into a common kind of fund. And then depending on the number of UHCL trips and the number of students on the trip, that pot of money is divided up, based on the number of applicants. It's also competitive. So it's not automatic that you get it. You will need to put together a nice application. Fortunately, we have a lot of time to work on that. It's not due until November 1st. So we have lots of time to talk about that. But so you will need to cover the cost of the $4,235 in advance. And the scholarships typically disperse 10 days before departure. The range of scholarships has been really wide. Generally nothing less than 2,000. And one year we got up to 3,000 per student, but it really depends on the number of students who apply and the number of trips we have going and the number of, or the funds that have accumulated in the account. So just wanted to kind of make you aware of that. So the cost of the trip includes the international airfare, round trip, of course, all of our hotel stays, all of the site entrance fees. We have one flight when we're in Oman, it covers that as well. The most amazing thing about, I think, the way Badar runs all of his trips is that there are guides with us from start to finish. So you never feel like you're a little bit confused or you don't know where to get things if someone gets a little bit sick or gets a cold or something like that. We always have multiple guides with us at all times to answer, any kinds of questions. A lot of times people forget something and they need to run to the store and buy it. They help us with that. So the guides are just amazing and they really add to the experience of the trip for sure. This is not a trip where you're going to starve. You will get a lot of food. By the end of the trip, you will either be so used to eating that you're going to have to probably learn how to eat again when you come back, or you'll be so full that you'll want to take a little break. But so there's plenty of food, 3 meals a day. And then as we're traveling, a lot of the traveling is done, or most of the traveling is done in 4x4s when we're going between cities in particular. And there are snacks and refreshments. Badar's making tea, coffee, offering water, and a tiny little dose, I guess, of Omani halwa, which is a kind of a pudding dessert that comes in a container about this big. So nobody's ever hungry. Sometimes there are those students whose systems are a little bit off and they get hungry late at night. And if that's you, then we'll go to a grocery store and let you, stock up on a few snacks to have if you get hungry in your hotel room. But it's very generous food on the trip. So any questions about food or any dietary concerns any questions you want to ask about that? We've been able to accommodate vegetarians, people who have gluten issues, dairy issues. There's quite a wide variety of food that's available. So we've not had any problems with food whatsoever on any previous trips. Talked about the scholarship a little bit, just to give you a little bit more information. So it is competitive, it is merit-based. You need to write a 1 to 2 page essay talking about how this trip is going to really enhance or expand or meet your educational goals. It's just 1 to 2 pages, not very long or super complicated or hard. And I'm more than happy to read all of your statements. In fact, I would prefer to read all of your statements. That's usually what we do. We usually have a meeting or two where students show up and I, read their statements. We give feedback and read each other's. You will have to do a budget as well. So, that part I will just give to you because we all have the same budget. Obviously, we're all going on the same trip. What else? You need a letter of recommendation, and I think that has to be me. So I'll be writing that letter for you. So no need to worry about who that will be. That will be me. Very easy to do, but it needs to be done well. You'll be uploading it online through the UHCL scholarship link. It's quite easy. And we'll be having some more information about that as we get closer to that. Any questions on that so far, or on anything I've discussed yet? I see
sorry.
Go ahead.
I got a letter of recommendation from my Arabic teacher, and I also have like waiting on two from my biology and chemistry teacher. Do I still need those? Or like, can I still submit them or what?
I don't know if you can submit multiple ones, Nick, but I appreciate you being so organized. I'm not surprised. You were our first applicant. So so the answer to your question is I don't know, but thank you for doing that. But I'm also happy to write one for you as well. Yeah, so hold on to them and we'll ask if there's a possibility for multiple, letter submissions. If not, I'll write mine and give it to you. If so, then you'll just maybe bundle them all together in one PDF and do it that way. Okay. Any other questions?
Dr. Curtis, I just, I'm staying positive, but I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. There is a possibility with this pandemic that the trip might be canceled again. Is that correct?
I mean, there is, we're watching every day to see what's happening with the Delta variant. Oman is going through a lockdown right now. But in some ways that sounds bad, but I think from my perspective, Oman is probably just right at the back door of India, and there are a lot of Indian citizens that live in Oman, so they have been really dealing with the Delta variant before the rest of the world has, and their vaccination campaign is really underway. I've been following it very, very closely in social media. It's very well organized, and even when people are sick and ill, they're also there's a lot of contact tracing that's happening as well. So yes, I mean, I guess anything's possible. I think if we learned anything at all from COVID, it's that just when you think you understand it, it shifts and has become something else. And it's a global pandemic. It's the first time I'm taking students on a trip in the middle of a global pandemic. So we're doing the best we can. And I think that we are following all of the information and, as we get it and as it evolves. So we hope that, by, let's say, October, when we should be getting the flights booked, that by then Oman will be at a level where any travelers, any US travelers can go there. So yes, you're right, it could be canceled, or I think in the worst case scenario, maybe postponed until probably something like spring break. But right now, fingers crossed, we're hoping that given the size of Oman, and Badar and I were talking about this before you all logged on, it's a relatively small country with high vaccination rates happening each week and each month. So it's not a case like the US where people are vaccine shy or vaccine resistant. People are willingly getting vaccinated, and it's a relatively small population. So we're expecting the travel safety to improve dramatically. So fingers crossed that we'll be able to go as planned January 2nd through 15th. Not worst case scenario, we would probably then consider spring break, March 2022. But we're really hoping that given all the information we have, that things are going to stabilize and that we'll be able to run this trip, hopefully, fingers crossed, in January. Thank you. Any other questions? I think we're getting to the part of the presentation where the more fun part, I should say, where Badar is going to take over and tell us about his beautiful country. Some of you have probably already seen some of our other recordings. So again, I don't want to be totally repetitive. As we're going to be examining food security and environmental sustainability, of course, we're going to be looking at lots and lots of different landscapes. That's one thing that really fascinates me about this country. And you might initially think, oh, it's a country that's, the majority is a sandy desert. Well, in fact, it's much more complicated than that. And we're going to be exploring all of these different landscapes, couple of days in the desert, couple of days in the mountains, couple of days in part of the country that shares a monsoon season with India, and it has a totally different climate than the rest of the country. We'll go on a boat tour, so you'll get a kind of sense of what Omani fishing industry looks like. So we'll really be getting a taste of all corners of Oman. Badar, do you want to jump in now and maybe do some explaining for us? I was gonna do the first part, and you were gonna do the second part. Oh, hi, Ashlyn. I think that you hadn't been able to join before I turned on the PowerPoint. Nice to have you with us. You're muted.
There is a question here from Ashlyn. She asked, although I am a student, would it be possible to also pay for a non-student spouse to attend the trip if they are interested in regards to having the same tour, the same educational experience?
So Ashlyn, we have done that a couple of times in the past, and it worked out okay. I could talk to you more about it. So I don't want to say no, but because this is a trip that is meant for really UHCL students and expanding study abroad for students, that's kind of the first priority. But if we have enough seats on the trip, and if I get a little bit more information about you and your spouse and kind of your overall interest level and that kind of thing, then we can talk about it. So we could schedule a time to discuss that further. But we have been able to manage it on past trips, and it worked out really well. So you're unmuted, but I can't hear you. I don't know if that's a UHCL Wi-Fi problem.
Oh, sorry. No, I muted it because I was like trying to download the video that we were watching, me and you, just before we started the session. And I think I managed to download it, so I'm going to share it.
Okay.
So let's start with the video first.
Beauty has an address. Oman.
So does that work okay?
It did work a little. It was a little bit glitchy in some spaces, but it was nice to see, some of those sites. And I love the feature, the opera. So we will be going to the opera. So that's a good reminder. And it doesn't have anything to do with environmental sustainability. It's just an opera that you just can't miss.
Well, so there is about, I can't remember how many pages you put in here, Dr. Cortez, but I think around 60. So I'm trying to go through them as quick as I can, along with all those site visits to universities, or even with officials. We will be visiting a tourist sites. Muscat and Oman overall, it's unlike anywhere else in the world, where most of the development here it went into a balance between the modernity and traditions. So the picture that you are actually looking over here, it's the capital of Oman, which is the old of Muscat, with the palace, which is the official palace, the building to the right side with the golden and blue columns. Right behind it, it's the ancient port of Muscat, and the area is fully fortified with buildings or forts from the 1700s, like the one to the left here, which is built by the Portuguese. Actually, the Portuguese built 2 forts in here in Muscat, and both of them are built in mud, and they are still used up till now. So this part, we are going to have a walk around it. Also, you will be visiting the fish market in Matra here, and we are visiting also the Souk of Matra, somewhere along the Corniche here. The picture, it's actually, I snapped it from the fort of Matra, which is also built by the Portuguese when they captured Muscat in the mid of the 1600. So Maria, just let me know if my sound is okay and I could just carry on.
It sounds good to me. Yeah.
Great, because I'm not seeing anything apart from my slides. There isn't any train in Muscat in the whole country. So the way to travel will be by transportation. In Muscat, we will be traveling in a bus, in Salalah with a bus. But very much when we travel into the mountains and into the desert, we will be doing probably like 6 days of 4x4s cars. Here is one of the groups of the UHCL in front of the official palace when we were touring Muscat. We also visit landmarks in Muscat. This is the Sultan Qaboos Grand Mosque, the biggest in the country. The picture is from the tour inside the mosque. Here we were visiting the gentleman prayer area. The main chandelier that you could see just right on the center of the picture, that is about 9 tons, and it's all made, it's of course steel, but it's plated by gold, and it's got like 600,000 pieces of crystal. It's one of the biggest chandeliers in the world, and the carpet in there, it's one piece. They made a factory in Iran only to make that carpet, and then like 600 persons have worked together to weave it around all those columns. Here is a visit to the Islamic Center. The lady almost to the right of the picture, it was explaining and answering questions about Islam and community here in Oman, because I can remember this program, it was about, the theme it was about anthropology, right? So we have met with this lady in the mosque. Also, we are attending an opera performance at the Muscat Royal Opera House, which is the first built in the Middle East and one of the best actually in the world. The 40-ton stand can move backward and forward with just like a push of a button, and also the ceiling could drop down or rise up to have the best sound effect. We also would be visiting the Sultan Qaboos University almost for a half day. In here, we were visiting the College of Art and Humanities, but for this group here, we will be visiting the campus of the Ministry of Agriculture and Marine Sciences. I studied at the Sultan Qaboos University, and it's huge. I mean, it's a town by itself. I mean, you will see that yourself. And even if any one of you just like Google it right now in Google Earth and looked into the size of it, it's a massive university of almost, I think now 8 colleges inside it, including a hospital. And the Sultan Qaboos, before he passed away, he donated to build a research center for cancer as well in the university. We are visiting a couple of universities, including private universities. And here we were visiting Sharqiya Private University Laboratories. We had a meeting with the administration over here. I think this was as the College of Art at the University of Dhafar. Here we are touring the campus of Sharqiya University. Here we are visiting the library of Dhafar University. And here we are visiting a very interesting site dated back 3000 BC in Salalah, when it was very famous for exporting frankincense, which was very valuable in the past. And most of the economy in those cities in Salalah, actually, it was driven by the frankincense. The Queen of Sheba used to come and send her boats into the port just right behind that wall to pick their ships, their frankincense from here. And I don't know if you would know about the story of Jesus when he pawned 3 kings. They were come from the different part of the kingdom bringing gifts, and one of them was just bringing frankincense, because it was really very valuable. So the picture that we took, it was actually as the temple of the people in there, because that was before Islam. So they were praying to different gods, and in this city here, they were worshiping to the god Sin. Also at the Sultan Qaboos University, we have visited a site that dated back to the Bronze Age, with the experts from the Sultan Qaboos University, as well from the site's experts. So the lady that was explaining over here was explaining about 5-meter diameter tomb that she was working in. It's some of those tombs that we call them the beehive tombs. We are visiting also this town here because it's been listed just recently in the World Heritage Site, and it's been visited by Marco Polo. The building in here is actually a mosque called Baby Mariam, which is the daughter of the Hormuz king, and she buried there. It's totally destroyed by the Portuguese when they captured and they attacked the coast of Oman, and also in the 1200s, it's been destroyed by an earthquake. One of the main visits actually that we will do to Nizwa, which is the main or the ancient capital of Oman. So as you see on the picture over here, you could see the circular tower, which is the fort that is guarding the whole area with 24 cannons inside it. The main mosque, it's actually not the main mosque now, it's became the second mosque in Nizwa because they built a bigger one. Behind these buildings, it would be a huge, massive oasis of palm gardens where people would be growing different 40 types probably of type of dates. And in the shade of them, there would be bananas, mangoes, papayas, and they would use a very traditional irrigation system that we call it the Fallage, which is a unique to Oman that dated back to more than 3,500 BC. And the Fallage actually that they use to water these oases of Nizwa here, it's a UNESCO site. Nizwa is also famous for its fort. Actually, we have more than 500 forts and castles across the country. This is just a different view for the fort of Nizwa. Some of the forts has an amazing ceilings, well decorated, like the Jibreen Castle over here. We also, when we are in the desert, we will be visiting a souk, which is a market. This is the souk that we will be visiting when we are in the desert. All those entrance in the front are actually individual shops. The people from this village, they renovated it, all those shops, and they are using them now every Friday to sell their local products from their oasis. So we'll be visiting these souk now after the renovation in the second day when we are on the desert. We will be visiting also the mountains, the Hajar Mountains, that they spread for about 700 kilometers in Oman, and they rise for like 2,000 meters. I can't remember, I didn't put this order, but anyway, the picture in here is actually from the souk in Nizwa. This is one of the shops that it's specialized in selling handicrafts in Oman. Gumstones, daggers like the gentleman who is wearing it over here, my friend Akhtar, who is owning this shop, and a huge amount of silver and handicrafts. In Nizwa also, you may able to visit some of the shops that specialize in selling spices. Nizwa actually, it has a department in its souk, which is specialized only in selling spices. You may recognize that person just right to the right side of the picture over here. They're very happy of getting, I think, a vanilla or something from them. Here is the souk of the spices in Nizwa, which is not renovated actually. They kept it as it is. So this is the original part of the souk of Nizwa, where it's famous for selling spices, date juice and dates as well. Silver jewels from the souk of Nizwa. And Friday, they are selling also animals in a big auction. Fish markets actually in most of the towns in Oman. Oman has more than 1,800 kilometers of the coast, overlooking almost 3 seas: the Arabian Sea, the Sea of Oman, and the Arabian Gulf, with different type of fishes that are you could find them every day morning in most of those souks. We will be visiting a souk like this one as well. The picture from here, I took it, it's from the coast of Tiwi, where people still using these traditional ways of fishing in here. We are visiting a fishing port as well during this trip. And there is some changement in some of the responsibilities by the new government, but I'm also preparing for visiting a fishing farm somewhere on the ocean. Oman has farms where they would have cages where they grow fish inside them. So we will be visiting one of those farms, or the fishing farms as well. Yeah, we will be visiting villages as well. People still live in villages like this one here. You could see the massive mountains on the back rising for more than 1 kilometer almost. There is electricity, there is internet, and all those trees that you could see, they are around them. They are not from below, they are well organized. There is a fallage, and there is organized terraces, agriculture terraces, where below these trees they grow mangoes, bananas, and other trees. Some of the villages in Oman are really, or the mountain classic villages, as beautiful as this one over here, which I like it because every time I pass here, there would be, the colors would change, because if you look into those agriculture terraces, the colors will change because what they would be growing inside those gardens will be changed. There is a school in this village, and almost the vehicles to the left there, the 4x4s, are actually bus transportation for the kids. We will be visiting the mountains as well, Jabal Al Akhdar, and at 2,000 meters above the sea level, and we will be visiting these terraces in here, so you will see how they would do their traditional agriculture in growing on those terraces that they built thousands of years ago, and they still use them to grow pomegranates, grow Damascus roses, grow grapes and raspberries and olives. Such trees, they are not available in the Middle East here because it's too hot, but because of the altitude, those people in the mountains, they were able to grow those type of trees. We will be driving through some of the wadis, which is valleys in Oman, like Wadi Tiwi, almost like 1 kilometer of sedimentary rocks, recording thousands or millions of years of the geological history of Oman. Some of the wadis having pools inside them, like this one in here, and the water would be diverted into channels like this one here, which we call the Fallage, and it would flow with the gravity to irrigate most of the gardens. The picture in here, it's for the actually when you would be visiting Oman, it will be during the pollination of the palm dates, and we will be visiting a big date farm, or a typical date farm, a government typical date farm, from the Million Palm project that they are growing, and we will be seeing those people how they would use the drones to pollinate the palms, and also how they are using the traditional way in pollinating the date palms in Oman. Here we were having a hike through the gardens and the terraces of Wadi Tiwi, and learning about the type of trees they are growing. In this wadi here, they are growing 5 types of bananas. They grow them from different parts around the Indian Ocean when they were traveling, as well as they are having different type of mangoes. I can't remember, but the government have spent about 25 million riyals in making a encyclopedia about the mango in Oman, to find the best types to keep growing them, because the mango, it's probably the 3rd production. Now it's the oil, but before oil, the date was the biggest production of the country. Dry lemon was the 2nd largest production of the country, and then the 3rd one, it was the mango. Here is, we are having a picture of our Wadi Tiwi. The picture that you saw earlier, it was somewhere in just between that gardens below there. We will be traveling in 4x4s through different terrains. This one over here, it's into Jabal Akhdar. Although We will be traveling in the mountains, deserts, and in plains. But the roads in Oman, or the network in Oman, it's one of the best in the world. Well maintained, excellent roads. I'm enjoying them myself to drive around them all the time. A road like this one here would climb up almost to 2,000 meters above sea level. This is the highway between Muscat and Nizwa. Almost just before the pandemic, there's 2 more highways of 4 lanes either side have been opened in the country. Oman also, it would be 80% of Oman is actually deserts, and part of that is the empty quarter. I think the day we leave Muscat, we will be visiting a farm in the empty quarter, the largest sandy desert in the world. At the edge of it, they are having one of the biggest dairy farm in Oman that is securing 80% of the Omani products, milk, yogurts, and all the other stuff. And it's very interesting, you know, to see a farm like this one in a place where there is nothing grow, one of the harshest environment in the world, where they brought cows from Netherlands and Belgium into Oman here, and how they were able to rise them on that temperature and able to produce that amount of products to the country to secure them for the food security in Oman. Oman also, it hosts the world's highest sandy dunes of over than 400 meters. The picture that I took in here, it was during one of my trips 10, 12 years ago. And if you look into the center of it, you may see the 4x4 vehicle, and you could take that as a scale for that massive dune just on the back. You'll be staying 2 nights in Wahiba sands, surrounding with the golden sandy dunes, and a full day will be traveling just around the deserts, and there meeting the Bedouins and meeting some of the camel farmers, camel herders, and ride camels, and visiting a Bedouin family and learn how they were able to provide food security in that environment for years. We might also attend the Camel Race. You will be, when we're staying on the desert, you will be doing a camel ride, a sunset or a sunrise camel ride. Most of the people who went in those trips, that was one of the things that really liked the most, to explore the dunes in camels. You will be staying in the desert in a tourist camp, just like the one on the picture here, which is authentic tents attached to a toilet and a shower, private per every unit. This is how the rooms looks from inside. This is how they look from outside, some of them, the chalets. The desert is an amazing place for stargazing. Probably when you will be just laying into your back and looking into the stars, you might be able even to count tens of satellites that you could see moving. That's how clear it could be in the desert. Yeah, here is our group enjoying an evening around a campfire. In Salalah, you will be staying in different hotels. The one that I like really the most is the one in Salalah, which is this one, the Crown Plaza, because it has an amazing seafront. Condé Nast, it's one of the World Travel magazine, have ranked the beaches of Salalah, where this hotel is located, among the best in the world. A pristine beach, almost for maybe 5 to 6 kilometers. The trees that you look in here, which is the coconuts, are actually native to Salalah. So they grow 2 types of coconuts in Salalah. We will be also visiting a coconuts farm and a banana farm when we are in Salalah to learn more about these different type of tropical fruits that they grow in Salalah. So you will be staying in this resort at the end of the trip for almost 3 days. Here is one of the groups that we were having a dinner at the Marina, the same Marina that we are going to use to go for the sea trip. We will be also trying different type of foods. In the picture over here, we were trying the traditional restaurants in Salalah where they grill the meat over gravel in Salalah. We are having picnics, so we are going to have different type of picnics, almost 3 or 4 picnics around the trip. This is one of the biggest trees actually in Wadi Darbat. It's the tamarind tree. So here we start by the fruit shops to try and test some of the tropical fruits in Salalah. 10 types of bananas they grow in Salalah, 2 types of coconuts. If you look to the left of the picture, you could see the green one and the orange one. So the greeny one, it has more flesh inside them, and that's what you would use to make the coconuts powder. But the red one here, it has less flesh, but it's much more sweeter. We will be traveling in the desert for 4 days, 2 days, but the picture actually in here for the empty quarter. We'll be traveling in graded roads. Are we visiting graded roads? Yes, we will be visiting graded roads. So different and various roads that we will be driving in while we are in the 4x4 trips. You will enjoy the company of an amazing guides with us. This is some of them over here. And you would be allowed every day to move from every vehicle to a different vehicle. So you will be enjoy a company or a different guides. All of them Omanis, all of them my friends, and some of them are working for Panorama Travels full time. This one actually is from Masandam, which we are not visiting, but it's right at the top, the north of the country, where the Strait of Hormuz, where 40% of the crude oil that shipped through here to the world. It's amazing place because of those fjords. Some of them named it Norway of the Gulf, but the mountains here has actually no trees on them, no green covers on them. It just rocks that exposed to the air. We will be visiting Sur, which is famous for building shipyards. Not a promise actually about this, because we are having the flight. We are having the flight to Salalah, and also in this day, we are having the visit to the fishing farm. So I'll see which one it would work for us the best: the village or the Sur or the fishing farm. So it's famous by building dhows like the one over here. In a dhow like this one, the Omanis have traveled across the ocean almost to China on the 1700 AD in a ship like this one here, and as well into the state in the 1840 in a ship like this one here. The first Omani ambassador, or the first Omani Arab ambassador, arrived into Washington, DC, in a boat like this one over here. So I think this one is the last image over there. Yeah. So we will be looking forward to welcome you in the Sultanate. I will be sharing a page with Dr. Cortez about the program. It would contain 3 pages on them. One about the regulations of COVID-19 and the Panorama Travels protocols of COVID-19. There will be another page on it, which is about the pre-departure materials, anything that we think it's important for you to know how to pack, dresses, informations, and even apps that you could download to help you to identify with the trees, birds in Oman, music about Oman, as well as links to some of the news of Oman, whether from the Oman news agency or from Oman major newspapers. Yeah. So thank you very much for joining us today. I hope that informative and enjoyable for all of you. And if you would have any questions, I will be more than happy to answer them. Thank you very much.
Badar, what is the temperature like in January?
Oh, in January, it will be very pleasant. In January, when you will be in Muscat, because you're close from the sea, the temperature will be during the day about like 31, 32. It's drop evenings to like 20, probably 18 degrees Celsius.
That's Celsius.
Yeah, I don't know how.
I think that it's 70s and 80s.
70s and 80s.
Yeah.
But when we will be traveling out from there, actually inland, it will be more cooler at night, especially when we stay on the desert. So when we stay on the desert, you may expect temperatures around 15 degrees at night Celsius. That will be a little bit very chilly, right?
Most of the trip feels like I would say late spring in Houston. It's kind of like the best time of Houston. So it's the best time of Oman when we're going there.
Yeah.
As Badar was saying, evenings in the desert get a little chilly. So you'll need to take like a light sweater or light jacket. And then also in the mountains, it gets chilly there as well in the evening. But most of the time it's very pleasant. It'll be wonderful, actually. It's the best time to go.
Yeah, it's the desert and the mountains, but actually the mountains, it won't be just a chilly, it will be freezing cold because we'll be staying on the mountains in winter time in Jabal Akhdar, and the temperature could drop to like maybe 1 degree or 2 degrees. It could go even to 0 in the mountains in January. So it's good to have like a sweater with you. And again, if you would have a sweater with you, actually, because you would be flying for about 14 hours to Qatar, transit and flying to Oman. In the plane, when you are doing these long flights, and especially with Qatar Airways, the temperature inside the plane is really cold, and you will need a sweater for that as well. Yeah, of course, on the plane you may ask for a blanket as well, but it's great to have a sweater with you for the desert and also for the mountains. For the rest, it will be really, really a pleasant temperature, including in Salalah.
In Salalah, you'll be able to swim also. I mean, it'll be that warm. So it'll be like,
you will be
comfortable.
Yeah.
I was just inquiring so that way I'd know what type of clothing.
Yeah, we will have more meetings on campus when we talk all about clothing and packing and all that. So I know that people have lots of questions about how to dress and what is appropriate dress. So I do have some PowerPoints and some handouts already prepared on that. And I think Badar also has some handouts. So
and the pre-departure materials also, it will have a section about the dress code, whether when we are touring or whether the dress code when we are visiting the Grand Mosque or dress code when we are visiting the opera. And even for the Grand Mosque, for example, Panorama Travels will be providing the traditional ladies abaya for every lady when we're visiting the mosque. So you don't have to worry about that as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
what other questions do you have? Ask any question that's on your mind. No bad questions. Anything?
We exchange money here or there?
There. Yeah, there. So you can use your card in most places. There are ATMs that are conveniently, located close to hotels, and you can just withdraw money. On the ATMs, you can select English. I mean, it will be just like you're withdrawing money, essentially, like you would here.
The best way, actually, I found it for me when I'm traveling is what I do is I use the ATM machines because the difference between using an ATM machine or exchanging money in an exchange shop, it's almost not a huge difference. So I would rather use my ATM machine or my card because every time I would need money, I could get the money from there. But the thing I found it when I'm traveling is your bank on the state is used for you to just buy groceries from this shop, which they know it in your hometown, and probably the next state if you are traveling, But if one go just to travel into Oman and you try to use your ATM machine, it's might blocked because your bank have a SWIFT code. It's not allowed your card to work somewhere else. It's just for security. So of course, before you travel into Oman, you need to call your bank and tell them, well, hello, I'm traveling into Oman and I will be using my bank card in Oman, and therefore your bank would remove that SWIFT code. So for that time you will be traveling in Oman, you will be able to use your ATM machine when you are in Oman. But whether you used an ATM machine or whether you bring a US dollar with you, very much you could exchange them anywhere. You could use ATM machines everywhere. Petrol stations have ATM machines. Souks, even traditional souks, have ATM machines. But if you would bring a US dollar with you, you need to be careful with those US dollars, because most of the exchange shops in Oman won't be accept an old series. I need to check that because they used to do not accept anything older than 2000. Any US dollars that been published before 2000, they didn't accept them. I think now they are doing earlier than that, maybe 2011 or 2012. I'm not sure really, and I will check that for you.
Oh,
But the
that's
best
okay.
way
I think
actually is to
keeping the
use
card, it'll be
use the
easier.
bank card. Yeah,
I'll stay with the
Yeah.
card. It's easier.
I think almost, I don't,
and even when you go,
using the card.
even when you go into souks like Nizwa, just at the souk there is an ATM machine. So if you decided, well, I'm going to do a big purchase in here, then you could go to the ATM machine and get the money from there straightforward. So that is saving you carrying a lot of cash with you.
Yeah, and most times I think I just use
And you could
when I was shopping in stores as well. So
you could swap it also anywhere in most of the shops. Yeah.
Okay.
I would just add here that the information regarding money exchange, how handling your money, cash money, pocket money, all and other subjects will be covered during our pre-departure orientation, which Education Abroad requires all Education Abroad students participate in. And we will send you an invitation to that session a little bit closer to your trip. It's 1 hour, very intensive training covering very important subjects of security, financial security, health security, other things. Yes.
Yeah. Luggage and how to bag and all those stuff that you will be, it will be important for you to prepare for the trip.
I also would like to add here, before we finish the meeting, we still have applicants, and I will not mention the names here, but you all know that you still have to go online and finish completing your application. I am leaving information for you here in the chat, what you need to do. And please let me know if you want to book an advising session with me so I can help you to complete the application, okay? Because some of your names are totally new to me. Some of them are very well advanced in the application process, and some of you are already planning to apply for the scholarship, which is absolutely wonderful, and I wish you all good luck with that. For those who did not complete the application, please look at the information in the chat box. Make sure you completed the application. If you have any questions, please let me know. Shoot an email directly to me or to our educationabroad@uhcl.edu or Dr. Curtis. She will redirect everything to me because we work together. Yeah, thank you.
Could write an email and CC both myself and Larissa. There's some things that she's handling and then other things that I'm handling. So between the two of us, we will know how to answer your questions for sure. What other questions do you have? Are you all very excited to get back to traveling after this long, long period stuck at home?
Give us some reactions if you don't want to speak. You know how to use the reaction button?
I'm really excited for this.
Go ahead.
How many people are maybe have traveled, done a lot of traveling before?
That's what I was going to say, Dr. Curtis. I've traveled enough for 2 lifetimes and I didn't have any desire to go anywhere else. But when I started the program, it seemed so interesting to me, Oman, and that's why I'm excited, because I truly did feel that way. And my husband was like, I thought you didn't want to travel anymore. I said, I did say that, but this place interests me and I have to see it. I want to go. I really want to go. So it's been a minute for me, but I'm excited about going.
Well, Maria Luisa, I feel the same. I mean, I want to travel a lot, actually. There are a lot of places I haven't been, but I've been to Oman several times, and every time I leave, I just want to go back. So it's a beautiful country. It's always full of surprises. There's still so many places I haven't seen. So I'm really excited about some of the new additions that we're adding this year. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be food. It's going to be, you know, very food centered, which is great. I mean, Oman is a country that loves to feed people anyway. So I think that we'll have a lot of fun, especially with the theme that's looking at food and food security. That's something new. I'm having a great time putting the syllabus together and all of the readings. So I really do hope to see all of you in class so that we can really get the most that we possibly can out of the trip when we're there.
Mm-hmm.
Emily, do you have any questions?
No, I'm good. I've seemed to have gotten everything.
Okay, good, good. Well, if no one else has any further questions, I guess we can wrap up our session for today. But then, of course, you know, if something comes to mind later, just send an email to Larissa and I, and we'll get back with you. And we're all really excited. And thank you so much for coming today. And we look forward to continuing to plan this trip with you.
Thanks, Maria. And Badar, thank you very much for a beautiful presentation. I was so surprised how many different things can this country offer all of us. Thank you.
Yeah, very welcome. They were my images, but the order was not my order. It was my Dr. Cortez order. So it's sometimes when I get into a slide, it's sort of, what is that? I haven't put them in this order.
You put that together with Hannah last semester, and we were trying to show the contrast.
How she is doing, by the way?
She's good. She's going to be rejoining us, you know, for fall. So
great. Great.
All right. Well, thank you for coming, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Stay in touch and let us know what questions you have.
Yeah.